This is me. And that is a perfect segue into our talk this morning, which is our theme for the month of June, self-care, embracing self-care. Today we're going to talk about personalizing the infinite. And I added on to that, we are one with the universe. Our focus for the month of June has been on self-care. However, it doesn't magically stop when the calendar reaches June 30th. This is an ongoing process. It is an ongoing aspect of who we are as spiritual beings. The self-awareness of the mind, body, and spirit connection allows us to realize that we are a perfect entity and we have all that we require for unlimited success and unconditional love. And this is the message that came through in the song this morning from the movie The Greatest Showman. If you haven't seen that movie, I encourage you to take a look at it. I believe it is now on Netflix. I saw it in theaters when it came out several years ago. I think it's been out maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe longer than that, because I was still up in the Bay Area. But I do encourage you to see it, and if you have seen it, watch it again. There's a really great message in there about showing up as I am, exactly who as I am, knowing that I am marching to the beat that I drum. That's the part that I really like. I am marching to the beat that I drum. Several years ago, a neighbor shared with me this little jewel of wisdom. And it was shared before I became a student of science of mind. And then after studying the spiritual principles, I adopted it and embodied it even more. And the jewel is, do something to stimulate your mind and your body every day. Do something, just one thing. And I just completed, this morning was our final segment of a 7-day mental detox program. And in that program, we were to identify 1 or 2 things that we could see ourselves in the future. You know, the practice is to see yourself in the future as already having accomplished this, much like our practice of affirmative prayer. We are affirming that what it is that we desire is already done. Well, with this detox program, we are affirming that whatever it is that we choose that we're working on in our life, we see ourselves already completing it, and then rather than looking forward to the completion, we're standing at the completion and we're looking back and we're asking, what is it that I need to do today that is going to support me to seeing my goal? So we already have the goal in mind, and we're asking the question, what do I need to do today? This allows us, this and other practices like this, allows us to identify our inner possibilities that are waiting to be revealed. And each one of us can be whatever we imagined and more, because we recognize that we hold the key to unlocking our good. That key is within each and every one of us. And this is the wisdom of science of mind. I share with you this message from Neil Donald Walsh on this day of your life. And some of you may be familiar with these daily guides that Neil sends out. And I've forgotten the date on this one, but it resonated with me when I was preparing this talk. And it says, Robert, I believe God wants you to know that you are perfect just the way you are. You are perfect just the way you are. Yes, yes, I know. You and I have lots of judgments about ourselves. But you know what? God holds none of these judgments. That right there is comforting in itself, to know that this infinite intelligence that created us to be expressions of itself holds no judgments. And isn't that the nice get out of jail card, if you will, that allows us to release our own judgments? And Neil goes on to say, if you saw yourself as God sees you, you would smile. You would smile a lot. So smile. Go forth now into this new day. sharing the wonder of who you are and who you now choose to be. For we are blessed in you. And when I came in this morning, when I arrived at the center, I stopped and, I have a little routine that I do when I come in. And I stopped and I just offered a blessing for our space, for this space. And for those who are joining us via the means of electronics, through Zoom, through our YouTube page, through our Facebook page, just blessing all those who came through the door, recognizing that each one comes in with a blessing and each one leaves out with a blessing. So we come into this space, we come to this time together to share the blessings that we have for one another. Sometimes we don't recognize them, but it's there. It is there. Science of Mind also teaches that as human beings, we are an individual entity, a cell, if you will, that forms the whole. And so to personalize the possibility of infinity requires us to first realize that we are one with the universe. The higher self, when each one of us knows this, we are one with it. We are one with it. So our charge this morning, our task this morning, and each day is to remember that we are one with the universe. When we become more aware that we are one with spirit, we accept the idea that we are part of the universe, and we begin to think and act as the powerful beings that we are. We dance in the mystery, and we begin to manifest infinite possibilities that only we could not have imagined before. When I think of personalization, and when I saw this word, I had a flashback to my father. Whenever I was, feeling my Cheerios and would use what I thought was a big word, he would say, "There you go with that $3 word." And so personalization can be like a $3 word to some of us. I'm drawn to the statement in our Declaration of Principles, which simply says, "We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence." And this is what personalization is. We feel, we personalize, we take on, we identify with this idea of the infinite intelligence, however it is that we address it, that is, and that we feel this indwelling presence. So we're moving from our head to our heart, to that place of the feeling tone. Personalization is taking ownership of the spiritual power that lies inside of us. It is another way of describing the mind, body, and spirit connection that is within each one of us. Ernest Holmes, in our Science of Mind textbook, on page 88, paragraph 4 through 89, paragraph 2, gives an excellent description of the personalness of God. And I will not read all of this, but I would encourage you, if you have a Science of Mind textbook, to read it on your own time. And again, the reference is pages 88, paragraph 4 through 89, paragraph 2. And in summary, this is what he says. We should think of God not only as a principle forever pushing forward into expression, but as infinite person. In other words, if we merely think of an abstract principle and a mathematical law of cause and effect, we shall lose all warmth and color. We should be very careful in abstracting the principle, not to forget its essence. So as we are identifying ourselves, as we're going through this scientific experiment, if you will, and this is proven, there's a lot of evidence of how science and spirituality are actually in alignment with each other without being opposed to each other. And this is one of those areas where Holmes is reminding us to be careful in abstracting this principle and not to forget the essence. And again, this is where we go back to the feeling tone. We feel this presence within us. Holmes also writes, there is something in the human mind that desires to think of God or spirit as a person. In each one of us, to each one of us, through each one of us, something is personalized, and that which is personalized is personal to its own personalization. And that fancy dance on words simply means that God recognizes God. And when we look at ourselves, the reflection that is coming back to us is we are recognizing God within us. When we look at each other, when we look at those who may have no idea of what spirituality is the way that we practice it, we are still looking at God through the eyes of God. This is what personalization is. Each one of us is to recognize the spiritual being so that we can be the light shower to others. This is one of the ways that we personalize the infinite possibilities of the universe and become who we are created to be. Yesterday, I had the opportunity and the privilege and the honor to serve on practitioner panels at our sister center up in San Jose. Um, they had 11 practitioners that graduated from their practitioner class, and so they invited ministers and practitioners from other centers to come in and support them through the paneling process. And I remember I paneled 3 of the 11 candidates. And I remember the focus on seeing the spiritual essence of each individual in that process. Because each one of the practitioner candidates that I interviewed, there were 3 of us that paneled. Let's see, in this case, it was 2 ministers and a practitioner that served on the panel that I was on. And each one of the candidates that came into that space brought a unique quality and a unique expression of spirit into that space. And so I could see myself playing with this idea of personalization and just focusing on the essence of the individual, because this is the intent, and I'm getting a little off track, but I'm going to go through the academic process. In preparation to become a licensed practitioner, one goes through a series of classes, generally over a 5 to 7 year period. And then there is a written exam that we take at the end of those classes that demonstrates the academic mastery of the principles of science of mind, the principles of being a professional practitioner, not only in our spiritual communities, but being a professional practitioner out in the world. And then after successful completion and passing of the written exam, there is an oral panel that we sit for. And I encourage people who are preparing for their oral panels to let go of the focus on what happened in class, because you've already demonstrated your academic proficiency by passing the test. Now, if you open that door into the academic field, we'll go there with you. But that is not the intent of the oral panel. The oral panel is to assess the individual readiness, to assess as best we can the consciousness of the individual, that we are saying and we are agreeing that, yes, we see this individual as a professional practitioner, and we are in agreement with giving them a license to go and practice. Now, as a point of clarity, all of us are practitioners. Each time we practice these spiritual principles, we are practicing the teachings of science of mind. So there are those who choose to answer and respond to an inner calling to take that one step further and become licensed as a professional practitioner, which allows us to do other things within our spiritual communities, within our larger Centers for Spiritual Living organization, as well as the things that we do out in the world. We are one with the universe. Being one with the universe is the underlying idea of spiritual practices that is both spiritual and physical. As we embrace this concept of being one with the universe, we realize that we are spirit, and spirit is within us. We recognize this higher force, this universe within, and it means no impossibility can hinder us from achieving our goals and becoming the person we desire to be. Recognizing we are one with the universe, we also know that our thoughts control the personalization of the infinite and our being one with the universe. Our thoughts determine a lot that happens in our lives. As an example, shifting our focus from trying to fix people or to fix a perceived problem, we shift our thinking to watch the problems fix themselves. We let go of the idea that we can fix anything or anyone other than ourselves. And I know in my own life, when I have determined that, you know, in fact, someone asked me, offered an idea yesterday as a part of the paneling process and wanted me to elevate it to home office. And I said, you know, that's far above my volunteer pay grade. And you have the same access to home office that I do. So you elevate your idea. And it's like, I'm not, this is not, for me, I did not perceive what was being offered as a problem. But for this individual, it was something that in their mind could be fixed. And so when I let go of getting myself wound up in the drama of trying to fix somebody else's problem, um, my life gets so much easier. Life is so much sweeter. And I can say, you know, I am staying in my own lane on this one. I am staying in my own lane. And it is amazing, it's just amazing how much ease and grace there is that flows through my life. Being one with the universe, we recognize that we have the power to make and shift our life as we become more mindful of our thoughts. Science of Mind teaches about, in Science of Mind, in our teaching, we identify what we call hidden thoughts or hidden beliefs, some of those unconscious biases that we have. In remembering that we are one with the universe, these hidden beliefs and limiting thoughts are often a result of something external, an illusion that we have bought into, a lie that we have bought into, a truth that someone has told us about ourselves, and we have embodied it as their truth coming to us, but not our truth. And so it's understanding the difference in the distinction between what is my thought and what is a thought or an idea that is being imposed on me by an external force. And I remember I was engaged in some personal development work with a spiritual teacher, and we were conducting classes in various places. And at some point, he decided to, and I said yes to it, to groom me to take on more of a leadership role in the presentation of the materials. And I did a presentation, and I could see him in the back of the room, scowling and prancing back and forth. And I go, okay, you're not taking me off track, because I was in a community that I knew and they knew me. And I go, I'm not going to lose face in this community. Sorry, that's not happening. And so afterwards, when we were having our debriefing, he said to me that if I wanted to be successful in this role that he was grooming me for, that I had to forget everything I knew about Science of Mind. I had to forget everything I knew about church management. I had to forget everything I knew about, and he went down his list. And I looked at him and I said, that's your truth. That is not my truth. If I decide to move forward, then I will move forward to the beat of my own drum and not to the beat of your drum. And based on that, several days later, no, it was more than several days, but within a relatively short period of time, I disconnected from that organization and said, I bless you as you continue on your journey, but I feel like Moses, the story of Moses, where he took the children of Israel to the promised land. And he says, I can see it, but I will not be joining you. And so, again, that's another way that I relieve stress out of my life and get back to always remembering that I am one with God and the infinite possibilities for my success, the infinite possibilities for what it is that I choose to do lie within me. And as this is true for me, it is also true for each one of us. So as we become mindful of those doubts in our minds that cause us to block the flow of ease and grace, this personalization, this remembering that we are infinite expressions of the divine, reveals itself through our spiritual practices and support us to remove all doubt from our mind. And so in conclusion this morning, the takeaways that I offer is to be open to the possibilities of the things that you desire. Be open to the possibility of the things that you desire. Harness your full potential through your spiritual practices. Demonstrate a complete conviction in yourself as one with spirit. And eliminate doubt. This is imperative for the personalization of the infinite. You can be what you want to be. You can have what you want to have. However, you must know that the source of your good lies within you. And this closing quote from Amit Ray in Nonviolence, the Transforming Power. Give time and space to sprout your potential. Give time and space to sprout your potential. Arouse the beauty of your heart, the beauty of your spirit. These are the infinite possibilities. And let us now say together our affirmation for the week. The love and grace of spirit manifests itself through me, as me, and in me today and always. And let us take a breath together as we prepare to move into a time of prayer. And as we breathe in, we allow the breath to establish this idea of oneness, the oneness of all that there is. And what I know to be true this day and always is that there is only one life, one infinite expression of all that there is, one creative intelligence, one highest idea, one that is known by many names as we attempt to name that which is nameless. And I know that I am one with this, which I call God. I live, move, and have my beingness as the life of God. And as this is true for me, I affirm it, I declare it, and I know it to be the truth for all who are gathered this morning in this physical space, those who are joining us via technology, and those who will be viewing this at another point. Because there is no time and space in God. There is only oneness. There is only infinite possibilities continuing to express itself. And so I speak my word this morning with joy and with gratitude for all that there is in this marvelous life, this adventure that I call, that living in this human experience, I know that there is that in me which knows beyond my own knowing. And so I say to myself, remind me to remember when I forget that I am one with the universe, that I am one with life. And as I declare this truth for myself, I declare it for all people, all places, and all times, knowing that we travel along this path, we travel along this journey, we travel what I now call the adventure of life. And sometimes our paths are parallel, and sometimes our paths intersect. And it is at those points of intersection where we really see the face of God reflecting back to us, and we see this face of God in all things, in all people, in all places, and in all things, because there is only one thing happening, and that is God revealing itself in and through and as all things. And so this adventure of life offers us many opportunities, many challenges, many ways to express for ourselves our belief, many ways to escape the doubt, to remove the doubt from our minds and from our hearts. And so I bless this morning those who are in those places of transition, however transition may show up for you, knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that light is not an oncoming train. That light is the infinite intelligence that is expressing, that is inviting us to follow in this light. And as we follow the light, as we light the way to the infinite, to our personal connection with Spirit, we also shine the light on the path for others to follow along with us. I bless places where people are gathering in the name and nature of the oneness of life, knowing that all paths lead to the truth. And for those prayer requests that remain in the recesses of our hearts and our minds, I know that the answer is yes, yes, yes. And so this is an opportunity to release, to let go, and to know that there is that within me that can do all things that I desire. Giving thanks for this and so much more, I release this word now back into that law which always says yes. That law and the love that propels the law into motion. I know it is done. I know it is complete. And I just allow this to be so. And I invite you to affirm it with me as we say, and so it is. With deep, deep gratitude, I thank you for the way that you continue to show up and financially support our spiritual community. We were blessed to receive a couple of large donations over the past week or so. And as minister that I knew would always say when there was any type of a blessing in his life, he would always say, "Thank you, Papa, send some more." And so we know that as we circulate, as we participate in the flow of circulation, that more comes back to us. You know, as I tithe, I demonstrate abundance to the glory of God, and I know that it comes back to me multiplied, pressed down, and running over. And so I invite us now to say our abundance affirmation together as we prepare for our offering. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And so for those of you who are here in the sanctuary this morning, we have a donation box on our hospitality table in the center, and you may leave your tithes and offerings there. Gratitude for those who send their donations in via mail, and our mailing address is on the screen. For those of you who text to give, the telephone number is on our screen. And we also accept the online donations through our website, www.montereycsl.org. So thank you for the way that you continue to support us. Also, for those who are here in the sanctuary this morning in the center, the July issue of the Science of Mind magazine is available for a donation of $5, and you may leave your donation in the little kiosk where the magazines are. And for those of you who are viewing us online, if you are not a current subscriber to the Science of Mind magazine, I invite you to go on to our Centers for Spiritual Living website, csl.org, and type in Science of Mind magazine. And you may subscribe to the print version as well as the online version. But there are excellent articles in here. The daily guides for the month of July are written by Dr. Michelle Madrano, who is the spiritual leader at our sister church, Mile High in Lakewood, Colorado. And there are excellent articles. In fact, today, following service, is our spiritual living discussion circle. And we discuss and review articles from the Science of Mind magazine. And there's an article in there today that really resonated with me that identifies the 12 archetypes and breaks them down into various categories. So I'm excited to be a part of our spiritual living circle after service today. Also, as a reminder, you're invited to stay for coffee and conversation and snacks following service this morning, and to also stay and be a part of the spiritual living discussion group. We remind you that we have visioning every Saturday at 10:30 via Zoom for the center, and we vision in person and also online on Sunday mornings for our personal goals and things that we wish to achieve. This will be the last week, Friday the 30th. Yes, Friday's the 30th. This will be the last day to take advantage of the early registration discount for the Asilomar retreat, which is happening August 8th through 11th. And as I mentioned before service, when I was in San Jose yesterday, a number of people said, "Oh, we're coming for Asilomar, and we want to tour the Monterey Center." And I said, "We'll welcome you. We'll welcome you with open arms." So everyone knows about our center. They love the space. They love the love that just reaches out and embraces and envelops everyone who comes in. And it is my goal, it is our collective goal to share this same love via technology, to share this love that I am and we are one with Spirit. And so as we say good morning to our Facebook family and our YouTube family, we invite you to return next week as we begin our July theme, which is speaking truth to circumstances. We're speaking truth to circumstances. We've refined and fine-tuned and boosted up our self-care. We know that we are the personal expression of God, and now we are equipped to speak truth to circumstances that have no power over us. And the topic for next Sunday is Monsters, Inc. So we'll see how that unfolds. So we say good morning to our virtual family. I invite our Zoom community to remain online.